Thank you everyone for sitting through the last few presentations, make it all the way to mine. Glad to see you all here. So yes, I had the opportunity of working with Pathway Law, which is a small estate planning law firm located in Belmont, which is kind of on the outskirts here of Boston. So I was able to be there in person for most of the time. And as you can see by the title, I focused on bringing about digital workflow transformation in their estate administration practice area. So in this presentation, we'll be working through estate planning versus estate administration, the SWOT analysis that we started at the beginning of the process, the digital tools that we're now implementing, the user stories to kind of summarize how it's all going to pull together and work, and continuing projects, because I will be actually continuing on with Pathway and helping to improve the systems even more. So you might notice I said estate planning law firm, but I'm working in estate administration for this project. So there is a difference between the two, a very big difference, and it's not always the most fun subject to talk about because it's end of life, people dying. So the estate planning part is where someone is still alive, planning for their end of life, how they want their assets to be distributed to their children or other family members, or they could have other problems that they want to solve. They could do tax planning a while, making sure, because there's always the government always gets its money, but there's ways you can kind of bring that down beforehand. Or, for instance, there's sometimes family drama involved, and you can decrease the drama a little bit by having decisions already made before they're in control of the estate. But the estate administration side is when the client passes away, and they become known as the decedent. And everything that they've owned now becomes part of their estate, and will have to be distributed according to the legal requirements, and it becomes very more time-intensive, court-intensive, communications-intensive. It's not your typical, go, 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 become more efficient, fast. This is much more built out in that it takes up around a year to complete, if not longer, for a typical estate. And so there's key deadlines along the way that you cannot miss, or it makes the process a whole lot harder. So the key to this part is making sure that you're progressing along, hitting those key deadlines, getting your communications sent out so you can move forward, and having it well built out so you don't have to remember all the little details. But the estate planning is a little different in that that one is a little bit more efficient, fast, go, go, go. And as you can see, this has been the large part of Pathway's practice areas in the last few years, especially in 2022, but starting to level out a little bit more here in 2023, hopefully starting to see the estate administration process pick up more matters. Oh, and by the way, when I say matter, I'm referring to another term for a case. So it's not something's the matter, it is a legal matter. So then hopefully with the digital transformation that we're putting in place now, Pathway can start to expand the estate administration even more so. Not to be confused by decreasing estate planning matters. Overall, the volume should start to increase as well. I noticed, I don't have the graph with it here, sorry, but 2021 had a very high volume, I believe because of COVID and people wanting to get in with all the scare and everything. But it started to level out more with 2022 and 2023. They were roughly similar, but now 2024 is on track to surpass that, and 2025, we shall see what it turns out to be. So the very beginning of this project, did a SWOT analysis, a very business thing to do. So worked through this. These are kind of the main things that came in. This is more of an internal focus. So I won't read all of them, but I will say with the main problem that came out of it was that there was a lack of communication both internally and externally, and that staff members, were all in the office, they would talk with each other, but any kind of big things that were happening or projects that need to be done, wasn't getting communicated, and even more so, communications out to the clients weren't always happening or not on time. And then there was a lack of task management as well. And so they had a lot of different tools that, are all nice, shiny, bright, promise to do great things, but they were just very different platforms and never integrated with each other. And so now we'll be able to strengthen some of these weaknesses by having a clear start or process from start to finish, and being able to have everything listed out so that there is a system to follow and that things won't get lost in the cracks. We'll be enhancing the communication, especially in the intake process, making sure that is pretty well built out. And so if we have the communications happening, we have task management happening, we won't be missing the deadlines, and we'll be able to maintain the client trust. However, with every kind of change that you have, there's always potential for new weaknesses. And so some of these are going to be more so with the staff needing to be trained in how this is done. They need to know how the system works, make sure that they're putting all the data in that they need to. If they start to think that, oh, this doesn't actually do anything, I don't need to do it, you stop doing one part of it, it all starts to fall apart. So the pathway will need to have one person watching for these different things and being able to correct the system, or being able to help train the staff more if something does start to fall apart. So getting into the actual tools that we're using. So the main one is Actionstep, which is their case management system, or some would say their CRM. And Actionstep is a legal software, and it is designed that you can build different practice areas or practice types. So you have your estate planning in there, estate administration, and whatever else Pathway does. And for each one, you can put in a workflow diagram, which you list out all the different steps. And I was able to get this created for Pathway. I think at the beginning there was roughly 4 steps that were bing, 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 and done. Now we even have a little bit of a tree that you can work through, so you get the intake process up into engaged, and then you can go to informal, formal, or voluntary, or directly into administration, just skip step 6 altogether, and working its way through to wrap up. So this will be dependent on each matter, and it can go a different path. So Actionstep does really well with that. And I will say, any screenshots I have in here with names or numbers either is not client related or test data, because I cannot legally show you actual client information. That would not be a great start to my hopeful legal career. So with each step that we can put into it, we can associate different tasks with it. So here is different, just for one step, and this will automatically generate once the matter moves into that step. So you don't even have to manually input all these tasks in. It will also automatically assign it to a task or a staff member based on their role. So we have another party section that we have different staff members in different roles. So automatically go into their task inbox that they'll see it pop up, and it has automatic due dates with it as well, based on either step movement or some other key dates. So I forget how many Pathway had in when we started, but there's probably 40 to 50 of these different tasks already put into the system. So cutting down a lot on the data entry part. As well, there is a nice little form for the key dates. One of the most important being like the date of death. There's a lot of federal deadlines based on that. There's different meetings that we have in here. And so we can fill these in, and it's very easy to pull up a report view and say like, okay, these are all missing, we have to get these in, who's in charge of this one, or maybe one empty spot means we haven't gotten confirmation yet from the client. So these will be for every single matter in Actionstep. And then also with Actionstep is the document templates. I think we've probably been all at the place already where we have like, oh, where did I make that document last? Okay, it was that client, go back, copy it, find and replace names and whatnot. So that was happening, some. We are moving away from that, thankfully, because that is very error prone. So we now have at least 20 different document templates in for the estate administration. I think we have over 75 firm-wide, at least for all the different practice matters. And I coded every single one myself and have updated them quite a few times. And yeah, so these will automatically pull in client information, name, address, even different pronouns can be put in. There's actually quite a lot that you can automatically code in based on what contact information the matter, or even different fields that are filled in. So I had fun working on that part of it. Now the next part is what we really started to implement more so, is the Microsoft suite. Pathway had Microsoft, at least for the email. That was mostly what they had used it for, and never really looked at the other apps and was like, they seem nice. But we started to realize, like, hey, we're already paying for this. We may as well start using them and actually get rid of some other third-party apps that do the same thing. So the main one that we now have is Teams, the Teams app. Which is designed as a central location for all internal communications. You can chat directly with other staff members, and then you can create different groups with that. Or the fun part with Teams is you can, for lack of a better word, create a team within Teams, and have very specific teams set up that different staff members would be involved. So I'm not in every single team set up within Pathway, but part of the EA client team. So that is a specific team we build out, and then within that we will have different channels. I could not include the rest of the channels list because that was client information, but this would give you a general idea. We have the team name, the general channel, and then a different channel for each matter. Great, in there you can have different posts, you can have different announcements, and it integrates well with all the other Microsoft apps. Especially, most excitingly, was Planner. Once again, this is not actual Pathway client data. So Planner is a Microsoft app that you can use to build out different projects. You can have different buckets or different views to it as well. And here you can get into more of the detailed tasks. I know with Actionstep, we had more of the general tasks with it. We're actually hoping to move that into Planner here during the summer sometime. But here is where you can have, okay, this person has real estate outside of the state. That's a different process to go through. So you can list out, okay, this is exactly what we have to do. This is going to be the person in charge of it, and this is going to be the due date. And as you nicely see on this one, all these little red boxes, those say those are late. Those are not done. So you can very quickly see which ones are behind, and it's like, okay, we got to get working on these. As well, Teams integrates quite well with OneDrive, which is the kind of sharing files internally, and I will also be talking about how we hope to move that to external document sharing as well. So that is the integration that we've done with Teams, with Microsoft Teams so far. There is one more part that you'll probably all laugh at because I love Excel, and I got my hands onto an Excel sheet. So Pathway had, financial sheets are a big part of both estate planning and estate administration because you need to keep track of every single asset, where it's going, beneficiaries, account numbers. That is all needed to know how to either fund a plan or to distribute it. They had different ones for estate planning and different templates for estate administration. Did not talk to each other. So you had to enter the information to estate planning. The client came back as an estate admin matter. You had to re-enter all the information into the estate admin side. I'm thinking, we can change this. So I maybe got a little carried away. Created a data input sheet. And so this will be the sheet that is going to be changed the most, that you can list out every single asset, account number, who is the technical owner of it, and that'll be for mostly the estate planning side. Then over here are some columns for the estate admin side. So this would be like, okay, how's it going to be distributed? What is the actual value now? And yeah, so it's a lot of information, and there's even more columns, more rows to this. I had a lot of fun with this one. The exciting part is this sheet will automatically populate the estate planning financial summary, which is this one here. This one should not even have to be touched by any staff member, not even for the names. I was pretty proud of that one. And this will automatically populate. This is the summary that's printed out, ready to go for client meetings, be given to the client, and they can get a nice summary of what their estate is going to look like, or how changes that are going to be made. As well, it automatically populates the estate tax return sheet. There's even going to be another estate admin sheet that needs a little bit of work to it yet, but this will also automatically populate, pulls in the different assets for just the person, for just the decedent, the different categories that they're in. So once again, this is all ready to go for the staff member, and arranged how they want it. They can quickly see what they need, move on, cutting down on the data entry that is going to be needed for this, and the formatting and everything that goes into it. So hopefully trying to do a little bit of a summary here. So we have the different rules. Now the attorney, he is, at the beginning, he's going to be saying, I should be able to quickly see the latest information to update the client. Because the attorney, he's not going to want to be overseeing the matter, every single little detail. He wants to hand that off to the EA paralegal. But he still needs to see the important information, being able to know what's happening, that he can confidently talk to the client. So now within Actionstep, we're going to have a document called the roadmap, which lists the plan for the matter. This is created right after the first discovery meeting, and I think this will actually be the attorney and some paralegals working at drafting this as well. This will be telling the client, if you engage with us, this is how we're going to do it. And so we have that. Then he'll also have teams where he can look back into the recent chat or post history, see the current status of tasks, or even just seeing what type of tasks are in there. So just two different places he has to look, be able to confidently say to the client, here's what's going on. Now the EA paralegal, the one who's going to be in charge of overseeing the whole matter, I should be able to know who is in charge of what task and when it's due. So now within Actionstep, we have the key dates form. This is going to be collecting all those, the date of death, which generates the federal guide or deadlines. So we can quickly see that. It's okay, we need to have it done by this time. And then once again, planner listing out all the tasks, who they're due or assigned to, get the little red bar if they're late. Okay, we need to get on top of that one. We have the database admin. Now he's going to be saying, I should be able to quickly see what information is missing. So we want to make sure that everything is getting put in. And so the report view within Actionstep will allow you to look at every single matter's key dates and go down through. It's okay, everything's filled in. Oh wait, this one's missing. We need to get on that one. And then within Teams as well, it integrates with Planner, being able to see the different, in the OneDrive, being able to see the different documents, making sure that things are in there, or seeing if extraneous things are in there, can remove them, being able to keep on top of the information being collected. And then, continuing projects. So I will be continuing on with Pathway, at least into the summer, possibly into during law school as well. But one of the focus is removing third-party apps that we still have, and incorporating or integrating Microsoft apps into our system. So one of them is Microsoft Bookings, being able to bring that in and remove our third-party scheduling app. SharePoint we can hopefully use for external document sharing with clients. That way we can remove the multiple document sharing apps, third-party apps that Pathway currently has. And then with Planner, there is a new planner being released, actually. I think it's called Planner 1. And so we'll be being able to create templates with that and have a little bit more functionality with that. So also be looking into that this summer. Then, of course, the general reporting, we need to make sure that and data collection, these two kind of tie in together. Make sure that we're collecting the right data and then having it report back in a nice dashboard manner. Actionstep is unfortunately not the nicest for reporting, so that we'll have to figure out how we can integrate either Microsoft tools and Actionstep, or figure out what report views we can get within Actionstep, so that we can quickly see what are the bottlenecks of the system, or things that are not working correctly, or things falling through the cracks, making sure we're catching those. So then in conclusion, back when I started this, there was few digital steps with information scattered across different platforms. No one's quite sure who's doing what, when, where, why. Now today, there is defined steps with tasks, data collection, and document templates accessible with 2 digital tools. So there's only 2 different places, one very specifically built for legal software, one very specifically built for office management. Tomorrow, implementation of key process controls with metrics reporting and AI-enhanced analytics. I got to do some fun little research as well about things coming down the road, so being able to continue working with Pathway to continually improve and transform the digital workflow. And I must say, I do feel bad. I do not have a thank you slide, and as the rest of my comrades do, but it is a big thank you, at least to Dr. Harris, for working with the semester on it, to Pathway as well. If they're watching, I'm not sure. The management team there was wonderful, being able to quickly talk with them, and multiple meetings going around and around about how we wanted to do these tiny little details and how it's going to affect what, and best business practices. And but it was wonderful working with them. And I must say as well that Sadler has prepared me quite well for this project. The introductory courses taught me to look not only for business needs, but also for customer needs when revamping systems. Then I had several courses on working with data, including how to use Excel and cleaning data sets for analyzation. Then I had courses on business operations, behavior, and management, which taught me how to think about systems and then working with staff members to implement. And then finally, the opportunity to work with real businesses on various projects to practice what we learned. That then culminated with this project to transforming Pathway Law's estate administration's digital workflow.